So solar for us is it's like, as I was telling once last time to you, was like it's an enabler. It's like the salt in the dal. It's not about the salt, but the dal itself. I mean, if you look at the dal, the pastas, the paneer, etc., etc. So salt that enables it to happen. For example, when you have solar powered roti rolling machines, right? Solar powered swing machines, solar powered silk weaving machines, solar powered hammer mills, right? In many places, what happens is if you look at unreliability of energy or where energy cannot reach or energy is, you don't have energy when you actually need it. And today, with the concept of modernization and because it's drudgerous, loss of time, you can do innovations. That is, how do you modify and make a roti rolling machine highly efficient so that it actually runs on solar energy in a manner that it's more economical than any other form of energy, including grid electricity, leading to an intervention in anybody's households, whether it's a rural part of Mizoram or Manipur for, say, Meghalaya for turmeric processing, to flower plucking in Tamil Nadu, to a swing machine in central Maharashtra. So that's why we've been able to look at SDG 7, that is sustainable energy, with SDG 8, that's livelihoods. Take two examples of Karnataka and Meghalaya, because they're not exactly two bookends of the ecosystem, but I'll consider for this one as two bookends of the ecosystem of mature. Karnataka is much more mature in terms of the ecosystem. And what I mean by ecosystem, I'll start with an example of Karnataka and then I'll shift to Meghalaya. So that in Karnataka, for example, if I go to Dharwad and you have roti rolling machines, a lot of women and men actually do rotis at home. This is the Jawar rotis and sell it in the markets on a daily basis. It takes around a minute and 30 seconds to do a roti. And they do around 200 to 220 rotis and sell it in the local eateries, etc. A solar powered roti rolling machine, actually, with you will do around 500 to 1000 rotis on a daily basis. So if you have a market linkage already, a solar powered roti rolling machine would be able to do 500 to 1000, lessens the drudgery. It actually makes with the pedal foot. You have the market linkages, and suddenly you go from 200 to 500 to 1000, provided you're able to get financing. And that's where we play a role. We work with partners to make it highly efficient, package it with solar, make it a financial product, and is the financing on the extra delta 300 rotis. See, she was already doing 200 rotis. Is the cash flow of financing on the delta 300 rotis, right? Not on the existing 200 rotis, which she was already doing. So we package it, install that, work with the local vendor to install it, and then the training that is for local marketing linkages. And I'll tell examples of market linkages later on. That's one where individual entrepreneurship ecosystem is mature enough in Dharwad. If I go to rural Meghalaya, the question is of aggregation. Okay, it's not about individual market, because individual markets are very, very small, and because maturity of rural Meghalaya is not. What we basically do is we work with, this example I last time told you is turmeric. Meghalaya, what happened was we did a turmeric processing center, similar that now we're doing with Eri silk weavers in Upper Assam, where we got together a bunch of 30, 40, 50 people. And the government, or in this case, the government of Meghalaya actually installed the capital, what you call in terms of the building. We put up solar, but also high efficient appliances for like threshing, cleaning, processing, drying, as well as packaging. And the working capital loan was taken by the women, and then they would basically buy the raw turmeric, process it, and package it and sell it. And in the Meghalaya, Lakodang turmeric has high curcumin content in the country, right? So their group livelihoods actually made sense, where the shareholding was by the FPO, the farmer producing organization of all these women. So individual example in Karnataka, financing to a group. And as I was saying last time, the capital infrastructure was very similar to how airports are financed, where the capex is actually taken by the taxpayers' money. The OPEX is actually taken care by us in terms of whether it's tolls, or whether you talk about the shops that actually pay rent in airports, or tolls on the roads, right? Same concept of asset-based financing, and break it up into what is capex and what is OPEX. and capex and opex are financed in very two different manner. Unfortunately, what happens is when those are advantages we take, middle class and upper middle class, but when it comes to poor, we have actually used microfinance as a glorified working capital loan for asset financing, which can never work. You cannot take 15-month loan and 26% to actually create assets. And that is where we are saying that while we use solar as a medium, Nikunj, we basically saying that how do we make the poor as asset owners? And solar becomes a catalyst in actually doing it. See, for us is how do we make Selco Foundation redundant? Right? If every other NGO which is actually doing housing or livelihoods is institutionalizing sustainability in their thought process and program for day one, we are no longer needed, right? Because the end goal is health, end goal is livelihoods, end goal is education. In the livelihoods, I'll go back to the example what we did in Karnataka, right? In terms of the roti rolling, right? There was technology, but the critical part was to work with Karnataka Rural Bank to finance 10, 15, 20 first time men and women, and mostly women in this case. Once those 15 and 20 actually became viable, I mean, which in the 2-3 months, the bankers were able to. So we actually worked with the bank to institutionalize the roti rolling into the mudra loan. Look at the ecosystem. You have roti rolling, you have financing, you have market linkages. Now I take out the roti rolling, I can actually put a sewing machine, I can put a rice mill, I can. It's so how do I lengthen the list of the mudra loan to the solar powered right? And suddenly one bank. And then we do workshops for other rural banks in Bangalore. For example, in Bangalore, in Dharwad, we bring in bankers from from Bellary or from Odisha. And because if I say something to a banker in Odisha, okay, boss, I have a selfish interest, they would think. But if another banker tells them that it is viable, for example, right, then the banker would say, ha, boss, karna hai, we have to do. That's how we've been able to bring people from Meghalaya, or even we brought in banks from Tanzania, Ethiopia, and Sierra Leone to Odisha banks, Meghalaya banks, as well as Karnataka banks, that how they have actually tailor-made these livelihood products and made them as a loan portfolio, right? And the next step is then you go to NABARD and say, boss, can you scale it up in different places? Who in the relay race? First, it could be a small NGO, then it's a Selco, then Selco plus NGO, the Selco plus, then it's a NABARD, then who takes it forward, right? Which are the larger players? So when we are designing a program, we never design it from a project basis, right? The first thing I ask the youngsters is when you come up with a project to me on my table, boss, so suppose today somebody came up with a project to me and say it's like August 6th, 2024, boss, forget it. Today is August 6th, 2030. Livelihood space, Nikunji, I was saying that we should, for us, sustainability is not only from a finance perspective, but is it a generational sustainability for it's like I should not put a solar powered sewing machine which will become a typewriter, right? See, for example, a lot of people say pottery karna chahiye. I said, boss, pottery is only valid in certain places. We ourselves as common society have forgotten pottery utensils, and pottery is now an art, not a livelihood. So let's be very clear. It's livelihoods only in certain cases. Like for example, Puri temple. It will buy pottery for ages because that's how the temple is. Those 250, 300 pottery makers will have a permanent job and their sons because there's a consistent market linkage to the temple per se. But elsewhere, it's a typewriter. Innovations happens where you need resources to remodify the roti rolling machine, or for the people who are physically challenged, who puts in that innovation money, number one, in the technology side. Number two, who puts in the resources for financial innovation? For example, as of now, there is a capability that the machine has only been innovated to 18% efficient, because of which the cash flow is that he or she will be able to pay in 6 years, but the bank loan is for 5 years. So I need a delta subsidy for a year. Or can I play with the interest rates and reduce the interest rates from 15% to 11%? That actually matches the cash flow for the